Roland Burris on the Super Celebrity Hotline from Washington, D.C., where he has just landed in the last hour or 2 hours. So that was Lieutenant Governor Pat Quinn just on, Roland, and he said that he would like to hear you urge the Governor Blagojevich, to step down or step aside. Would you do that, Mr. Burris?
No. When I was at a press conference about 3 weeks ago as a former Attorney General, I supported the action brought by the constitutional officer, Lisa Madigan, and said if I were the Attorney General of the state at the time, I would have taken the same action, because we must all pursue those legal remedies that we have available under our Constitution and the oath of office that we took to carry out those responsibilities. Now, I have absolutely nothing to do with the governor who said that he is not stepping down, and it does not do me any good to try to sit around and call for him to step down. That's a bunch of theater and theatrics. The governor is still the governor. He has the legal constitutional authority until he is impeached or until he is indicted and removed from office. And everyone in Illinois, knows that. Certainly he's embarrassed our state. Certainly he's created, if he's guilty of what he's created, those are very heinous acts, and he should be punished to the full extent of the law. Whether or not Roland Burris says anything about what he should resign or what he should do, and he stated that he should do it. The legislature didn't pass a special election. What happened there? I mean, so there are a whole lot of things that are discussing that have no merit in the situation. My appointment is legal, and that's what I'm asking all of my colleagues to understand.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with the governor exercising his constitutional duties and responsibilities of filling the vacant seat that is obligated under the United States Constitution to fill.
Okay,
I've never heard any Senate rules that would overrule the Constitution of Illinois or the Constitution of the United States of America.
But given the context of this entire situation, and this is my criticism of your decision, is that
and you're criticizing my decision?
Yes, I'm criticizing your decision to accept this, because given the context and what you just said, given the cloud over the governor and the fact that 3 weeks ago on the Saturday following the arrest of Rod Blagojevich, you stood with the Attorney General of the state of Illinois, which means that you must have.
You're incorrect. I have never stood with the Attorney General.
All right, but you supported her position.
That is correct.
Okay, so you supported her position, which indicates to me, at least, that you believe that she was right to do that, and that there was a reason that she wanted to have the governor replaced. Given the context of all that, to accept this seat that the governor was giving in all of this, I'm surprised that somebody with as much experience and tenure as you.
I'm sorry that you are surprised, and in terms of your own surprise. But what we have to do is to make sure that the 13 million people in Illinois have representation in the United States Congress when the Congress opened, the 111th Congress. My concern is representation. And the governor has the constitutional authority. It's not all about the drama and all these other things. It is legal. Once you come to that conclusion, you won't have any problem with it. The appointment is legal.
Well, the appointment may be. Go ahead,
sir. Listen. The appointment is illegal. Can you accept that?
Yeah, well, I believe
I accept that.
I accept that at this moment. I do agree with your supposition. I agree with it, Mr. Burris. I agree with your supposition that at this point I see no. Well, obviously, there's going to be a fight over this. You're not being welcomed with open arms when you arrived in Washington. I mean, you've got the.
Are you getting emotional now?
The majority leader of the United States Senate. The majority leader of the United States Senate is not exactly. I've seen it in the news the last couple of days. Not exactly welcoming with open arms. He says it is it's a negotiation to get you into the Senate. So you clearly see that this is not the easiest thing in the world, and that your decision is controversial. Do you at least give me that?
No, there's nothing wrong with my decision. My decision is to represent the 13 million people of the state, and I have no problems with the decision I made.
Do you see that it's controversial?
I'm sorry that you have a problem with it.
Do you see that it's controversial?
I'm not creating a controversy.
Okay. Do you understand why some would see it as controversial?
No, I don't.
How can you not?
Well, I'm sorry that you don't understand that. I asked you one simple question.
All right.
Does the governor of the state of Illinois has the legal authority?
Yes, he does. Yes. Unfortunately, given the.
Okay. Did he do that? Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
And everything else in reference to that is just conjecture and superfluous theater.
But it's not conjecture. I mean, you clearly, listen, you're going to go represent the United States. You're going to go represent the state of Illinois in the United States Senate, theoretically, right? So what I don't understand is when the U.S. Attorney's Office, when the Department of Justice makes this arrest, which was a surprise to a lot of us because they went out of their way to make an arrest and lodge a criminal complaint before an indictment because they wanted to stop him from giving away the Senate seat, potentially under this cloud of corruption, that anybody would accept it under that. I mean, again, to go back to the context.
Does that in any way impact me? I'm not a part of that.
I don't know. But they're going to investigate whether or not you are.
I'm sorry?
But don't you anticipate that they will investigate whether or not you are?
So that's what you think? Well, certainly. And by the way, has the governor been convicted of anything?
Well, you were, as the Attorney General, as the Attorney General of the state of Illinois.
As a former Attorney General, please remember the theory of the law, that you're innocent until you're proven guilty. Please remember that.
I understand that, but that's not really what is it of issue here. You still would do the investigation, wouldn't you? You still investigate these things, and one would imagine that they are going to investigate you. Let me ask you this. Mike Parker, in your press conference last Tuesday, had asked you about this dollar amount. He came up with the dollar amount, $14,000, that you or your son's law firm had donated to the election campaign for Rod Blagojevich. Is that true?
Absolutely. I contributed to a lot of Democrats.
Okay, was that dollar amount accurate?
I would certainly. It's in that vicinity over a 6-year period of time. I supported the governor like a whole lot of other people.
Okay, have you made a contribution this year to him?
No, I don't think so. I don't think this year.
Okay, you're not. All right. Have you had a conversation with him?
0708 records will show a contribution.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your conversations with Governor Blagojevich were like in the decision to be right before he named you?
Absolutely. I got a contact from the governor's attorney on Friday evening, and he said I had to discuss something with you. He came by and asked me would I if the governor would offer me the Senate seat, would you take it? And I said, well, no, hold on. I have to think about this, and I need to check with some of my friends and supporters. Well, that was Friday evening. I made contact with hundreds of people across Chicago and Illinois, and not one of them objected to my being appointed. They said, Roland, you're the best person to take this matter off the table. We need a United States Senator. You're qualified. You've been elected 4 years, 4 times statewide. You have no type of scandal in your background. You're clean. You're just what Illinois needs at this time. I did the same thing on Saturday. Everyone I talked to urged me to give Illinois representation, and that's exactly what I did.
So the fact that you had to think about it, is that an indication that you were concerned about it being controversial?
No. I just wanted to make sure that I had a basis of support back there. I'm sorry, your name again is?
My name's irrelevant, sir. Rokon.
Rokon, okay.
Yeah. All right. So now here's the question that I guess this whole thing boils down to now. Do you really think that in the press conference last Tuesday, do you believe that sentiments of Congressman Rush and the sentiments of the pastors yesterday at the church service are actually accurate, that there is a racial overlay to this? Okay,
Rokon, I'm going to answer this question. We're at our next stop, so let me advise you of something. I've been elected 4 times statewide. I was the first black elected in the history of the state of Illinois. Illinois has sent more blacks to constitutional officers to the United States Senate than any other state in America. Right. I have never, ever went through dealt with race in terms of my election, and the people of Illinois know that. So you don't have to bring up the issue of my being involved with race. I cannot control what other people say. Race has never been a factor in my elections. And by the way, Illinois just also put forth the first African-American president in the history of this nation. Illinois is great when it comes to diversity in elected officials.
Did you invite Bobby Rush to that press conference?
Somebody on my staff did, certainly.
So Bobby,
he wasn't. When I saw him at the conference, I invited him up to the podium, and the governor asked him to say something. There's something. Okay.
I know. Did you know what he was going to say?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
There was nothing.
Why was he invited to the press conference?
He's a congressman. He is my congressman from the 1st Congressional District, and we got to go, Rokon. Happy New Year to you and your listeners, okay?
All right.
Take care.
Will that be a regular segment on the show, do you think?
I don't think he liked the line of questioning at the end.
He asked your property taxes are going to go way up. You'll see.
Wait, hold on. Could you spell that for me? What are the last 4 digits of your Social Security number? I would
he
say...
thought it was a sales call. Sometimes you pick up and talk, you wonder who the hell
And who
is
is this again?
He tried to sell him a timeshare at some point.
Aluminum siding? I don't think I need aluminum siding. Wow, that's pretty good.
Well, he disavowed Congressman Rush.
No, he didn't. But he did. He acknowledged something, which I knew, which tells you something about about the theatrics of what was going on.
Remember when he's against theatrics.
Remember when Bobby Rush stepped up to that podium and he's like, "Oh, here's Bobby Rush." It was like a walk-on by Bob Hope on the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
He was invited. That's an important piece of news right there. So, regardless of Mr. Burris's protestation, I believe that was an orchestrated move in order to say, "Hey, stop this now."
Yeah.
Because you're going to let me in because we're going to use this. And he's accurate when he says he didn't use not a guy who used race like a sledgehammer like a lot of other politicians have in this town. He's not a guy who's done that before. And yet he is doing it now, in adding to the controversy, which apparently he's either lying or is so addled cannot see.